Hey, good morning folks, Colton Woods here. I've got Ella in behind me, as you might be able to see. She's a 5-year-old Warmblood mare, and this morning we're going to show you guys about how to ground drive your horses without reins. Ground driving your horses in a round pen setting while they're at liberty or they're loose is something that I really like to do, whether I'm starting colts or particularly getting in problem horses or working with horses that are super pushy. Because when they're loose, they're going to have the opportunity to either get faster and move away from you, or they can actually yield their body parts like we'd want them to. So the first thing that I start with these horses is establishing the direction. So she's kind of headed right up underneath you guys there at the camera. I'm going to let her keep traveling to the right, but I'm just going to step in here and say, hey, all right, now I'm pushing. I like to let them start at the walk. We just grabbed this mare out of the field this morning. She hasn't even had breakfast yet, so she may not be too appreciative of that. But we'll make sure she gets fed up right after we get done with this. But I just want to let her kind of warm up. I like to make sure that my horses have enough time to physically warm up. And so here, I'm just going to ask her to trot just a little bit. You'll notice she's pretty desensitized, almost honestly a little too much for my liking. But she's great. She's a great amateur hunter horse, and we're really looking forward to getting her into the show pen this next year, and she's feeling a little fresh. We like to let them, when they stretch down like that, even when you're on them, I like to let them, give them the chance as long as they don't feel like they're going to do anything too silly. And so I'll let her move around here. You can see that she's just kind of a little close on my circle. It's not something I'm too particularly fond of, because she's a relatively easy horse to train because she's lazy, so make the right thing easy, the wrong thing difficult. And I'll just step out here and draw her towards me. And we're going to be working on drawing another video here later on. I just point, say, hey, can you go to the left? She doesn't. Use the flag to push the shoulders. So there you can see that my focus was on her front left shoulder, and those were the body parts I want to move away. That's going to be really important when we go to ground drive your horse without reins, because you're going to be paying attention to their eye and drawing them towards you off the fence, and then pushing that eye away from you so they can turn either into the fence or make a change of direction across the middle of the round pen. So here, let's go ahead and ask her to trot. You can see she has a lot of forward impulsion this morning. Go. That's fine if she canters. I'm going to ask her to canter here in a minute, just to kind of let her stretch her legs. And I like to do this just because, guys, like I said, we just grabbed her out of the field, so I want to be able to push her around a little bit. You'll notice she might check in, and she's got her ear cocked to the inside. She'll look in just like she did right there for a little bit, trying to see when she can stop. I'm all up for, when you're first working with a horse, to ask them to come in. Of course, when you're working on draw, you'll always reward it. But then there's other times where your horse needs to move around you and stay working until you ask them to stop. And that actually helps your draw become better, because then they're waiting for that moment when they can stop, because they ultimately just want to be left alone. There you go. I kind of clucked to her there at the end, trying to see if I could get her to maintain a little bit of impulsion as she drew towards me, in that, because that just helps me set myself up better off down the road when we start working on draw. So, oh geez, I'll step here. This is really good. I check out those hindquarters, that she doesn't feel like she has to go off and leave, but she can just move her hindquarters around. Now look, and I focus on her inside hind. See how she's taking that step back there. So to me, if that inside hind was stepping out and behind her other hind foot, it's essentially that they're sucking back and they don't have enough forward impulsion. So I just try to get a little more wide. There she's kind of a little bit of avoidance. See how she positions herself so I can't get in that eye. I just go further towards the fence, stop. I don't really want to be looking too much at my horse, because that's just pressure to push them back. And here, I'll just raise the flag inside. Once I had my angle, then I could block her eye from blocking me out. There she goes. but it's about keeping it pretty quiet. And then send her off. There's the shoulders. And now we'll get into our ground driving, guys. But I just should show you guys right from the beginning, the little warm up on pushing them around. I started the walk. I didn't ask her to come in. I just send her back out. And just like you're ground driving your horse with reins, I'm not directly behind her, and I'm not obviously directly beside her. I'm kind of right where, you know, that butt muscle is down the back of their leg there. I'm kind of looking right at it, because I want to think that if I have my right rein attached just like I was ground driving her, if I step towards the fence and pull on that right rein, she should come off the fence a little bit, and I can step towards her hind end, drive her forward, and I pull on the left rein. Here I can use my flag. See how she got fast. So you can imagine if you were on her and you went to actually ask her to make that transition there from the left to the right, and you used your legs, the horse might get a little quick. So right again, I'm just right in behind her hind end here, and I'm not directly behind her tail because I want her to be able to see me on the inside eye. I'm going to pull on this left rein, stepping towards her hindquarters a little bit, drive her forward. That's why I have a flag, just to kind of help have a little extension of my hand. And then here I'll pull on the right rein and push on the left eye to drive her around. That was a lot better that way, because her tempo and her rhythm stayed the same in her feet. And even if your horse was trotting off, it's just speed is an evasion. When they take speed, it makes things more difficult for us. And so we just have to work through that. We just stay calm through it. You might have to go back to moving their feet a little bit and showing them that, you know, if they want to move their feet, they can. So I'm gonna pull on the right rein here, step towards the fence, taking the slack out of that right rein. See, now she switched eyes. So I'll stay here. If I'm not getting it, I'll step to the inside and look at that inside and draw it towards me, then step back towards her hind end, kind of half halt my feet. If she doesn't take me up on it and she just wants to kind of meander around, then I'll move her feet. All right, this isn't a thing where we're gonna beg our horses to please do it. Like, we're gonna set it up for them to where, hey, I can draw on you, because as I step towards the fence, I'm drawing on the inside eye and pulling on that right rein. And if they don't take us up on it, we can't keep doing it, because then we desensitize them to it. They learn that they can just ignore what we're asking them to do. And so here, I'll drop my flag down, lower my body energy, let her come back to the walk, and I'll step back towards her hind end here, trying to draw on this inside eye. Then I'm gonna step towards the right, pull on the left rein, pushing on the right eye, and there she can make that turn. But guys, just like before, I tried 2 or 3 times to help her out, make that transition, to make that turn, and she'd look in and she'd go, nope, I think I'm gonna keep going this way. And I'm like, that's fine, but you do that a couple times. And so here, she's getting a little quick. I'm gonna kind of set her up to where she's gonna get herself in a little bit of trouble here. I'm drawing. She doesn't care. I'll step back to the inside. She wants to go sniff dirt. So I say, hey, why don't you move your feet? You're not paying attention. And with young horses, or horses that haven't been required to focus a lot, this is really good, because we certainly don't want to go through their threshold, but we got to raise their threshold on focus. And so we can either, old Ray Hunt, Tom Dorrance saying that you can either get to their mind through their feet, or get to their feet through their mind. So what we're doing with that ground driving was we're trying to get through their feet through their mind. But now I'm getting to her mind through her feet, because I'm moving her feet right now to say, hey, if you feel like you don't want to pay attention mentally focused, then we'll move your feet to get you paying attention. And then we'll go back to getting to her feet through her mind. So there she offered to come in, and I say, hey, I'll take you up on that. I'll let her get a little reward off of that one, because she was like, okay, I think I got what you're talking about. So I'll send her back out around here. There's the hindquarters. I'm gonna step towards her head here. Now this is a little more of an abrupt turn, but I like that her tempo got a little faster, but it wasn't too bad. And so, guys, this is something I do with the walk a lot. with these horses. Honestly, I get this going a little bit with all the colts I start before I ever get on them. So I'll step towards the fence here, give her the chance. She's still just meandering and walking, so I'm gonna step to the inside to draw on that eye. There she comes. Now you'll see here she keeps making it. Sometimes you have to stay with it. It's kind of like the horse that runs into the rein. And here I'm not going to change directions. I'm going to step almost towards her tail and help her keep making this turn to the right. When I get a little in far behind her, you saw she looked over her left shoulder, and that was just because I was almost right in behind her from there. And I'll drive her forward just a little bit. She went to drop her head there to smell the dirt, and kind of, to me, it's taking her focus off of me. And that's really why I kind of just put a little energy in. Here, I'll step towards the fence, put on that right rein. See, it's that little bit of focus. She's kind of, she's halfway doing it, but she's not really committed. So I step to the inside, draw on that eye. And then there, she's at a good angle. And I'll step to the right, push the eye around. So, of course, you guys can see there's plenty of work to be done with this particular horse in this, but I hope this gives you guys a good idea. And you can, like, we've been doing changes of direction, but you can also, let's see, get her eye. You can tell when she just stops, she doesn't quite pay attention as much. A lot of times her ears will kind of switch. Step to the inside, get that eye, drive the hindquarters. See, when I drive the hindquarters, how she goes back out? It's like, if you just want to hang out there, now her paddock is right next to this fence here. So like right where I was asking her to draw off of, is it shares the fence line with her paddock, but no excuses. This is where the round pin sits. I can't move this round pin. So I take that into consideration, but that'd be a good way to fix something that might be a little sticky to want to go back to their field. And so here, drawing that eye. So this time I'm not going to change direction. I'm just going to keep stepping in towards the hindquarters. You can see how she rounds this turn out. We make like a circle on the quarter, about half the size of the round pin. Look at the back of the shoulder. The shoulder started to stall out just a little bit. And I'm going to keep driving her around. Keep those shoulders moving. I'm driving from the hind end, driving the engine forward. And then here I'm going to step towards the hindquarters. I'm going to try to draw her off the fence because that's where we got stuck last time. Here she comes just a little bit, step deep in behind her hip. I'm looking past her hip, and there that helps her come off the fence. So I'm letting this video go a little longer for you guys so you guys can kind of see this particular horse look through it, because you can tell like she kind of just drifts towards the fence and the fence catches her, and so where it's almost like a crutch. But I want her to pay attention to when I step towards the fence, she should come off the fence. She doesn't really do it. She just like, oh, I'll just keep meandering around because she's a super casual mare. And there I got her eye. So I step towards her hindquarters to draw it forward. I wave the flag to keep the shoulders moving forward. She's just kind of looking off to the side. So I'm like, hey, you need to be right here with me. There she changed. I'll just drive her forward. So I'm kind of showing you guys a little bit of all the angles in terms of you can take them and keep them going the same direction. You can do a figure eight through the middle. You can do a smaller circle off to the side. Step towards the hips here. And see, when I step towards the hips, her eye should come to the inside. But it doesn't. So now I have to step over here like a string that's attached to her eye. I'm like almost fishing at this point. I'm like, hey, there's your eye. Now come over here with me. Now I'm pulling on that string saying, almost like I got the lead rope on her, and I've got my flag to drive her hindquarters forward. But here I'm pulling on that string and she kind of just drifting out that shoulder. You can imagine the horse would do that under saddle. I know she does. So it's a lot of this stuff we can fix on the ground and we can make better. So I'm almost pulling that right, or the left rein, excuse me. Here I'm pulling, she's not turning, right? And so I like this exercise because it's mental more than physical. And so here, drive her forward. I'm gonna kind of push on her a bit there because I started coming in with a fair bit of energy and she didn't think she had to move too quickly. She's like, oh no, I'll get to it when I get to it. No, you need to move your feet when I ask you to. All right, step towards that hip. Here, try to draw that eye. See how she wants to face up? She's been allowed to face up a lot, and she knows that if she faces up, she can stop. I haven't really let her stop here for a little bit because I'm working on showing you guys this ground driving. So with a horse like this that's particularly lazy, she gets stuck. So I wanted her, see how she stalls out? She's so used to just being able to stop. She's got to draw, but because we're pushing her away, drifting out the outside shoulder, I want her front left to make this turn and step to the inside so that she can show that she's pretty much committed. Here she goes to taking the steps. A lot of times your horses, they might be turning one way because you're pulling them that way, but they're not really committed to actually stepping. So I want to see this front left start stepping. Kind of her neck's nice and bent to the left. I want to see that inside front foot kind of free up and step around the circle here and really get committed to taking this direction. A horse like this, you could bend them to the inside, but they feel like they're running out the outside shoulder because they're not really reaching around with that inside front. And just before, I don't want her to leave, I kind of kept her there for a little while. See there? She stayed a little straight. I'll stop my feet and let her stop for a second. Rub on her. She's going for a while compared to, she hasn't done this in a long time. So it's always a good refresher for her. But guys, when you're going to ground driving your horses, it's just like having the long reins on or long lining them, whatever you'd like to call it. And you think about your position not being, a lot of times you learn to drive horses directly from the perpendicular side. Well, horse training 101. So you could, if she goes to leave, guys, you don't make them stay. You can't make them stay, she's loose, right? So you just let her go and then say, hey, if you'd rather be out there, because she really would rather be on that fence. This horse already drifts towards the wall when you ride her. And so I'm like, hey, you want to be out there? That's fine, there's work to be done out there. It's a cool, brisk morning. My hands are frozen and she's feeling good. So, see how she slowed down in the turn? Like, that's something I'd like to work on with her to get her a little bit better about her draw. But, so, as I was saying though, you can drive them from the perpendicular side to where you're right here up against them, and she'd be going to the right, or you could drive them directly from behind them, but it's almost right in between, so let's call it 3/4, to where you're not halfway in between them and you're not directly behind them, but I like to be right angled about right this way. And so when I'm looking at them, and that really helps you be able to draw on the inside eye or push the hindquarters up underneath them and then help make those changes of direction. So you guys, you can sit there and hold your imaginary reins when you're doing this, but it's a lot about making sure that your intention is to draw that inside eye to help them make the turn to the inside and pushing those hindquarters underneath, and then pushing the eye away because you're pulling on the offside rein so they can make their turns. So the ground driving is something that's super great. If you have a horse that's pushy, they will have trouble with this because now you're pushing on a horse from a distance away, and if they're not respectful, then they're going to speed up, they're going to get fast, they're going to move around. And so it's a fantastic way to kind of work with a horse, be gentle about it, and show them that they can actually learn to respectfully move around without having to get so emotional about it. And it'll better set you up so when you go to put your aids on, whether you're actually using reins or you're using your leg aids, or a crop or spurs or whatever like that, that your horse starts to understand on how they can move away from the aids and not just get so caught up on, I don't want to move away from those aids, or I don't understand them. This gives them a way to understand what you're asking in a way that they can work through it. And it's very simple. If they want to get quick, you let them move their feet and you get to their mind through their feet, or you go back to the exercise, which is a very mental exercise, and you get to their feet through their mind, or get to their mind through their feet, or get to their say that 10 times faster, right? And then get to their feet through their mind, because this is very much a mental exercise. So guys, I hope you guys found this helpful. I know it's a little bit of a longer video, but it's something that I really, really believe in, and to know it's a big key concept in our program here. So if you guys have questions, be sure to post them in the comments below. You guys can do this in a small pen, a round pen, whatever it is, but your horse needs to be loose because it's ground driving without reins. So guys, Colton with Horsemanship here, bringing you another video. Always happy to help your horses. Look forward to riding with you in a future clinic, and thanks for tuning in.